Baked, stuffed, cheesy cornbreads, enchiladas, is a very, very richly indulgent but delicious dish made from corn tortillas that are fried momentarily, folded over a beautiful filling with spinach and corn and cheese and lovely spices, and then smothered with tomato sauce and lots more cheese and baked in the oven, and then served with a delicious dip of sour cream. It's very, very nice and typically Mexican. Let's have a look at our scrumptious ingredients over here. I was just chopping up a medium-sized bunch of spinach, which I steamed. I'm halfway through chopping it. That's going to go inside the filling. Here's the rest of the filling ingredients. We've got 3 cups of ricotta cheese. We've got 3 cups of grated mozzarella cheese, 2 cups to go inside, and 1 cup to sprinkle on top afterwards. We've got 2 cups of cooked corn pieces, half a teaspoon of yellow asafoetida powder. We've got a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, a quarter of a teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg, a teaspoon of salt. We've got 1 dozen large-sized tortillas, and we've got 1 cup of sour cream to dollop on top of your enchiladas when they're done, to make them even more rich but delicious. And over here on our platter we have the ingredients for our tomato sauce. 3 cups of freshly pureed tomatoes, 3 tablespoons of nice virgin olive oil, a small hot green chilli that's been minced up, seeds and all. We've got a quarter of a teaspoon of yellow asafoetida powder, 4 teaspoons of ground cumin, 1 tablespoon of ground coriander. We've got a cup of tomato paste, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. So the first thing I'm going to do is to heat up my oil to make my sauce in our nice heavy iron pan here. This is a wonderful frying pan for all sorts of nice sauce dishes, nice and heavy and very, very practical. In goes our olive oil. We'll let that heat up for a few seconds. Now the chili that I'm going to be using now is a minced up serrano. Here's a nice specimen of a serrano chili, as I was explaining before. The serranos are quite hot, and the way you can tell whether a chili is hot or not by looking at it, apart from tasting it, is to examine it. Nice pungent chilies have a very narrow shoulder and pointy ends, and the narrower the shoulder and the pointier the end, the hotter the chili. So the oil is hot. Let's pop in our ground up chilies. In they go. Chilies are also rich in vitamin A and C. Give them a bit of a stir up. Our yellow asafoetida powder. Ground up cumin, very authentic Mexican flavour. Coriander. Because they're powdered spices, they should only be sautéed for a second. Let's put in our tomato puree. Give it a stir around. Wonderful rich flavour coming out of here. And our tomato paste, or concentrate. So, I'm going to cook my tomato sauce down for about 20, 25, 30 minutes, just until it's properly thickened on a reasonably low flame. And while we're doing that, we can do a few other things over here, starting with our filling for the enchiladas. Let's bring our lovely big bowl over here. I'm going to finish chopping up my spinach. This was a medium-sized bunch, as I said, of spinach, which was just put into hot water for a couple of minutes to soften it up. I don't like to cook my spinach too long, just to preserve that lovely green colour. So let's get all our lovely fresh spinach, pop it into our bowl here, like so, and let's add our other ingredients, starting with our corn. We'll start with our fresh corn that's been pre-cooked, along with our pre-cooked spinach. We've got our mozzarella cheese, leaving the rest for the garnish on top. We've got our ricotta cheese, big lump of juicy ricotta. We've got our yellow asafoetida powder, lots of nice cracked black peppercorns, some brown sugar, some nutmeg. I always use nutmeg as much as possible when I'm using a spinach ingredient, because nutmeg and spinach go wonderfully together. Now let's combine all that. Wonderful fragrance of the nutmeg. a lovely filling for enchiladas. Pretty simple. Let's have a look at our tomato sauce over here. It's coming to the boil, it's thickening up a little bit. Let's turn on our oil here. Now, our filling's made, our sauce is cooking down, the oil's heating up, ready to fry our tortillas. Let's have a look at our tortillas over here, by the way. These are the staple breads of Mexico, Central and South America. They're actually made from parched corn, which has been powdered in a stone mortar called a metate, and then treated with lime. That mixture is then called nixtamal. These are machine-made, but the traditional tortillas are baked on a large terracotta griddle called a comal. This is the flour that's made from parched corn. So the first thing I'm going to do is to lightly fry up our tortillas over here in our hot oil. We've got actually a dozen of them here, sitting, waiting patiently to be fried. Our oil looks like it's almost hot enough. Another couple of seconds, there's a slight haze above the oil. Let's take one tortilla, like so, and gently lower it into the oil. We need to hold it down for about 10 seconds. Amazing, these little things puff up like little balloons. Turn him over. And that's all that's required, just a quick frying. We'll stand him up in our draining pan, cook another one. So we've got 12 tortillas here to fry up. That won't take very long. Well, our lovely rich tomato sauce is done. It's been about 15 minutes. Let's turn off the flame and add our salt and our brown sugar. Stir it all in to give our tomato sauce its finishing touches. There we are. So our tortillas are done. Lovely little tortillas, soft and pliable. Our sauce is done, our filling's done, so all we have to do now is to pop it all together. So let's assemble everything here on our tray. First thing we're going to do is to line up a few of our tortillas, like so. As I mentioned before, when you fry them, they go nice and soft and pliable, so you can do all sorts of things with them, such as fold them up, roll them up, or whatever. Let's take a little bit of sauce and place it on top of each tortilla, like so. And we're going to spread that tomato sauce just to make a nice thin coating before we put our filling inside. Let's get our spatula, spread it all around. This is a very aromatic sauce due to the presence of our aromatic spices, namely pepper, asafoetida, cumin and coriander. Especially that cumin flavour is very typically Mexican. Here we go. Now, let's take a spoonful of filling and place it in the centre of each tortilla. Let's fold these over like so. Nice pliable tortillas make it very easy to do this. If they were crispy, it would be very difficult. There we are, that's half of our enchiladas done. Let's pop them on our baking tray. Like so. We should be able to fit 3 lengthways. Our tray is just the right size. Look at that. It was made for this recipe. Let's butt them up really close together and we should be able to very, very neatly fit 12 delicious enchiladas on our tray. This is the fun part. This is the part I enjoy the most about enchiladas. You can just really slap that sauce on and really get engrossed in your work. That's a nice thing about cooking. It's something you can really engross yourself in and you can let out all your inhibitions and bottled up feelings without any problems. Aid of our little spatula. Let's not waste a drop of this lovely stuff. There we go. Now, I think I'll spread the rest of it out so every one of those little enchiladas is smothered in sauce. And last but not least, we've got our mozzarella cheese, which we reserved. I hope you remember to reserve yours. Let's sprinkle it on top liberally. Now, when we bake this in the oven, 180 degrees Celsius oven, by the way, is a good temperature. That's about 355 degrees Fahrenheit. All this lovely cheese will melt and make a nice cheesy bubbling coating over the top of your enchiladas. You don't need to cook these very long, by the way. 15-20 minutes is ideal. So if you're going to serve these for your Mexican-style buffet, put them in at the last minute. You could even have them sitting on the bench, and when the guests arrive and you want to serve these lovely little things, pop them in the oven as close to serving time as possible. Then take them out when they're nice, hot and bubbly. So let's put them in the oven, shall we? I'll see you in 15 minutes. Wow, they're looking great. Wonderful aromas wafting out of the oven here. Bubbling, cheesy enchiladas. Feast your eyes on those. Well, we've got a little serving suggestion here. When those guests come and they're hungry, give them a nice plate with a couple of big, juicy enchiladas with the cheese melting over the top like this. Whoa, there's one. Another beautiful enchilada. Here it comes. The cheese is just oozing all over the place here. And a nice bowl of sour cream. Hot cheesy enchiladas. Tijuana, try one.